What's up guys, welcome back or welcome to the channel if you're new. So today I'm going to be taking two Dollar Tree doll houses and turning them into haunted houses. But I'm going to be doing that based on two figurines that I have for them to match them. They're not just going to be regular houses that sit in the background. So let's get started. First thing I'm going to be doing is taking some sandpaper that I got from Walmart just to scruff up both of the houses a little bit. I learned this from a guy at Lowe's. He told me that whenever you're painting something, especially something that has like a gloss on top of it, you want to use pan paper. You want to use sandpaper to scruff it up because it'll get rid of that top layer so that whatever paint you go on top of it, it will help stick to it better. I'm going to be using a spray paint. This is the Krylon, what is that spray paint called? The Paint and Primer Matte Black. And it does work to kind of spray it on without having to sandpaper, but this is just an extra layer. And because I'm not going to be using that matte black paint on both houses, I want to make sure at least one of them is scruffed up. And don't forget to make sure to sandpaper the windows and the doors. I went ahead and took the one that I spray painted matte outside, brought it back in. This is how it looks on the front of it where I used the sandpaper. The part where I didn't use the sandpaper inside, you can still see that it's still stuck in the inside because it has that paint plus primer. So that's what I was saying. If you did not want to sandpaper, you don't have to. I'm going to move on to the next dollhouse, and this is the one that I'm going to be painting myself. I already went off camera and popped out the windows, doors. It's very easy to pop it out, but it is hard to pop it back in a little bit without like breaking a piece. I didn't break anything, thank God. I'm going to be mixing together the country gray paint, the bright yellow paint, and a little bit of the black paint. This is going to give me some sort of gray tone. Just think Day of the Dead type of gray tones when you're thinking of something like this. I'm going to start off with the roof part, and that's going to be a darker gray, and then I'll move on to the bottom half, and then that's going to be a lighter type of gray. Now one thing you can do, which is what I should have done, is easily slide the roof apart from the second half of the house. That's what I should have did because it would have helped me paint it better since I was going with two different colors on this one. Also, you don't really have to paint the inside, but you do want to paint around the windows and the door area because in the inside, it will show by the windows whatever color is in there, especially if it's a bright pink. For the bottom half of the house, I'm going to be mixing in a couple of different colors in that same paint that I just created. So I'm going to be mixing in Snow White, some of the gray tone, the yellow. I think I'm even going to mix in some of Territorial Brown, but just a little bit of that. What I'm going for on the bottom layer is a lighter gray tone, but I think it's going to have like a more yellow based undertone. I definitely should have taken the house apart because I did get a little bit of the lighter shade on the roof part, but of course you could just go in with a smaller detail brush and clean it up. I've separated the windows and doors, and it's very easy to get confused. You can see the windows and the doors to the other house off in the distance to the right. So I'm going to start off by just pouring out the paints that I'm going to be using because this is going to be the witch's house, obviously by the colors. I'm going to be painting the window part at the top, that Kelly green color, and the door, the Kelly green color, and then I'm going to mix in the black to paint the border of the door, and then I'm going to mix in some other paint. I'm just mixing together different paints to give me a different kind of purple. I was trying to go more with the tone of the purple witch whose house it's going to be, but I think I needed red to mix in with the purple, and I didn't have red, so I was trying to mix in some other colors like orange and gray and stuff like that I have. For the next house, and I'll tell you whose house this is later if you haven't already seen it by the thumbnail pic. So right now I'm mixing in the country gray paint with the Kelly green and black to just create these windows and doors for this house. And I think I left everything pretty much one tone with this house. I got two of these wood rectangular pieces from Dollar Tree, and I'm going to be painting them pretty much the same tone that I painted in my first video when I did the potion bottle storage, mixing together Territorial beige and black, and it just gave me this really nice, I don't know, it was like a deep beige tone. I've never seen a tone like this before. I am going to be mixing a little bit more brown in one of them, this one that I'm currently working on, because I do want one of these wood pieces to be a little bit lighter than the other. Most people would have let this stuff dry overnight, but I'm impatient, so I turned the fan on it and I sped up that drying process. So the only thing I did off camera was pop all the windows and doors back in, and then on the house to the left, that is more of that gray tone house, the parts where it looks like a darker yellow on the actual lower half of the house, I just painted it just a lighter tone right there, well, a deeper tone. Now I'm going to be hot gluing both of the homes down on this thing. Now I did mess up and forget one step that I was supposed to do before this. That sandpaper that I had earlier, the 60 medium with the 6-piece set, I was supposed to glue that down onto this wood first, and then I was gonna glue the homes on top of that because I was gonna use that as a base for it. But I messed up and glued these homes down first. I'll do the sandpaper later. Just like I showed in my previous video, I have this 8-piece of hay bale set. Well, was 8-piece, now down to 4 pieces. So what I'm going to be doing is using these as steps, and I felt like for this specific house right here, these were the best type of steps that you can have, because I felt like the figurine that I'm going to be using, this would have been his type of style. So I'm going to be gluing these, hot gluing them together as steps. Moving on to the witch's house, I didn't want the hay bale steps, so I found these cool scents. You know, the just the air freshener things. I was trying to figure out if I wanted to use these as steps, and I just felt like they were way too big. That would have been a cool concept right there to put them like side to side like that. It did not work out like that. I am going to use one of them later on, you'll see that, but for now what I'm going to do is just take them away, and I'm going to be using this pack of stones that I got from the Dollar Tree. I thought since it was a witch's house, witches typically for their walkway, don't they have like rocks and stones out there? So that's what I'm going to be using, and I'm going to end up hot gluing them down. Off camera, I was trying to figure out a way to add that sandpaper, so I took some Mod Podge, I cut some of the sandpaper off, and then I cut 3 pieces across that way. You can see them laying there, and I did the Mod Podge instead of hot glue because I'm like, just in case I don't like how it looks so far, I would rather use Mod Podge, which would be easier to peel up than a hot glue gun. I had to get as close to the house as possible with those other pieces and layer them right next to each other so they didn't look like 3 different pieces. So that's what I'm just doing now. And like I said earlier, before I hot glued the houses down, that's why it would have made it easier if I would have just glued the sandpaper down then. Now I gotta cut pieces. And I know I'm doing a lot of jumping around, but that's just how I operate, to just figure out things along the way, and just working on one project at a time, it wouldn't be good for me. The air freshener pieces that I had, like I said, I was going to be using one of them, so I cut a little bit off of one of them. I painted it the same color as the wood piece, and then I laid some rocks on top of it because I wanted to see how it would look as like a step, just like that one step, and then the other pieces of the wood acting as a step, but I layered the rocks on top of it in the same order as the other pieces. So that's what I'm going to be doing, and now I'm going to hot glue it all together. I'm pulling out the green reindeer moss and the brown tone Spanish moss. That's what I'm going to be using to glue around the house as like grass and, you know, dead grass, alive grass. And I'm just going to be gluing it around both homes, but I'm going to be focusing more of the Spanish moss around the light tone home. I originally had the idea to hot glue gun some vine looking glue along the house, and then I was going to paint it green, but in this moss it has like a lot of stringy parts. It just has that viney texture, so I just hot glued some of it to the house to look like it was coming out of the grass. So that's why I said with this house I wanted to focus more on the Spanish moss, but I wanted to add a little bit of the reindeer moss on top of it just to look like the vines are coming through. It just looks so cool. I just had that idea because you know a lot of times when you go past homes that the grass or the vines are overgrown, it's on the house, and a lot of times the house can look green as well. That's what I was going for with this type of look. And just like I said in the other video, don't forget to cut off the extra pieces that's hanging after you glued. Turn it upside down and just shake it off so it can shake away the excess moss. Now I'm going to be moving to the witch's house. In this house, I'm going to be focusing more on the green grass, but I'm still going to be mixing in some of that brown moss as well. But like I said, focusing more on the green one. I didn't want it to look too dead, but still, because this is like a haunted witchy house, I feel like she wouldn't keep up her yard. In the dollhouse set, it also comes with these little people, purple people in one set and pink ones in the other set. So my mom had this idea that I could make it look like the witch turned these people into stone and made them small to fit as statues. So I thought that that was a cool idea. So what I'm going to do is glue both of them by the door, and that'll be that. In my Shein Halloween haul from last year, I had this cat eye necklace that has purple in it. You know, like typically you see, I don't know, like a skull up there or something. I decided to glue this instead. I thought it was something different and I really like how it looked. Also, I still have that 50-piece set of rings that I got from the Dollar Tree, the plastic rings. So I'm just going to cut the back of the bat off and glue it on top where that part where it goes through the hoop goes through the necklace. I'm going to glue it in front of that. For the spider that I also got from the Dollar Tree, this is that glitter spider that I don't like the green on the back. I'm going to paint over that with Mod Podge. I'm going to sprinkle black glitter over it, and then I'm going to paint some more Mod Podge over that, and then sprinkle some purple glitter over it. Now, in the other video, the first one for my potion bottles and all of that I showed that I created my own type of spidery look with the red back. Now the red back did come out better in that video, but I messed up on a spider in this video. The back didn't come out looking like that hourglass that it was supposed to look like. And I also forgot to do the white highlights on the legs. And I went to the Dollar Tree again and I found 4-piece set of these necklaces that are so cool because they have these mini skulls and mini bones on them. They have one purple, one black, and 2 oranges. And it just looks so good. So I'm going to use the mini purple skull on the front of the door just for that. Instead of a wreath, we're going to do the skull. And I'm going to hot glue it on there. Moving back onto the other house, now I do have these other pieces that I got from the Dollar Tree. I have this plastic skull, I have this plastic palm bone, so I'm also going to be gluing the plastic skull onto the moss, and then I'm going to be gluing the palm bone hand onto the front of the house as well. I was like, I'm going to find something else somewhere else to put these palm bones because they can't bend. So you can only put these in certain places where you know that you're going to be able to stick it straight. Because last time I tried to bend it, I broke one of the fingers off. I didn't know what I wanted to put as the wreath. Just like on a witch's house, I put the purple skull up there, and also where the part where you put the wreath at, the one on a witch's house is up higher. This one is in the middle, so I took another one of those plastic rings, and this time the one with the skull, I put it right there to see if I would like how it looked, and I didn't, so I just left it alone for now. I'll go back to it, of course. So right now I'm going to be using one of these bat clips. This is also something I got from the Dollar Tree. I only have 2 of them left out of the 4-pack. Gluing this one up on the roof. I didn't know what I wanted to put on the roof, and I just felt like something was missing, and I didn't want a spider. Since I put the black glitter bat up there and it's black, I decided to cut one of the black necklaces that I got, and I put the black skull as the wreath. I just thought that it was fitting. and it looked better. See, that's why I said when you jump around, you just figure out stuff along the way instead of trying to stick on one thing and figure it out like that. We would have been here all day. Well, I was all here all day trying to put both of these homes together, but we would have been here for 2 days trying to figure it out if I would have spent my time focused on one house at a time. On that necklace, not only did it have the skull heads, but it also had bones. I took the black bones and I put them on each side where the window seal is at. You can see how it looks. I just kept it there. I didn't glue it there because I was like, I don't know how this looks. It fits perfect, so that's why I was conflicted. But I was like, I really don't think I like how this looks. So I asked my mom and she didn't like how it looked either. But I'm just going to keep it there until I figure out the next part. So what I did was I cut out the skull head, and right under the head, the bone is right there. You know how sometimes people have those lions as statues in front of their homes, the nice homes? That's what I was going for, but this time with the skull and bones. And I put it right next to the hay bales on both sides. It could also look like lights outside too, but I was more so going for like the lion-esque type of look. Now we can finally see the figurine. So the witch is the one that I got from that $5 Halloween Village set at the Dollar Tree. And I also, while I was at the Dollar Tree, found Hector from COCO. So these little figurines, I don't know when they started selling them. Obviously, I don't go to the toy section at the Dollar Tree. But when I went to find the Dollhouses, I seen that they also sell these Disney figurines. They have a lot of different ones. Like they have Monsters Inc. and I think I seen Merida from Brave there too. So they have a lot of different ones. They have Nemo. So I picked up Hector because I was looking for another figurine. I was like, I'm gonna make 2 doll houses and I need something like a skeleton. And I seen him and I was like, oh, perfect. And he was only at one Dollar Tree out of the 7 or 8 Dollar Trees that I went to. So it was like fate that I seen him. I felt like just putting Spanish moss instead of grass would be the best thing to cover up that the blue, whatever this blue thing is that he's standing on. So that's what I'm going to do for him. And I think that's a straw hat that he has on. Don't come at me, but I did not see the movie COCO yet. I am going to see the movie COCO. Every time I'm on Disney Plus, I go past it and I'm like, girl, just watch the movie. And I have not gotten to that movie yet, but I will. So I'm thinking that that is a straw hat on his head. And that's why I was like, the hay bale, it's fitting with him, right? These are the rub-on transfer stickers that I got from the Dollar Tree that I've been using in my past couple of videos. I really wanted to use them on the homes, and there would have been some good ones to add, but there was no room on any of them, and I was like, no, don't just waste it. In the crafter section, I think these things are new too because I don't remember seeing them, but these are dab-on sponges, which are, they look like wait, plunges, like the plunge, but they're sponges, and these are great for not ruining your brushes like I have. I've been using my art brushes to glue on certain things with the Mod Podge, and it's been completely damaging them. This is what I should have been using, but like I said, I didn't notice it at the Dollar Tree until recently. So this is what I'm going to be dabbing on the paint with. I'm using the Country Gray, I can't believe they named it Country Gray, paint onto the witch's house. What this is doing is just highlighting the house, bringing out the texture in the home too, so it's not just flat and one color. I'm going to be taking some of that territorial beige color, mixing it in with a tiny bit of black. On the witch's house, there's this detailing around the house that looks like coffins, and I'm going to paint that with that color that I used earlier as the base of the home, the wood that is sitting on. I'm going to be using that to paint those coffin looking designs. I'm going to be using some of that Super Glow Spiderweb that I got from Big Lots, and I'm going to be starting off by putting it on the back of it. I didn't know how much I wanted to use because I didn't want it to cover up the whole house, so I'm going to start on the back of the house that's going to hide the inside, and then I'm going to start pulling some to the front. This spider came in that ring set as well. I just went ahead, cut off the back, painted the front of it black, and then I'm just going to glue it to the front of the house and add some of that web through the spider's legs. Now moving back onto Hector's house to paint this one, I'm going to be mixing the Kelly Green and the Snow White paint together. Typically when you go past a house that's overgrown with vines and stuff, it also kind of changes the color of the house as well. So that's kind of what I'm going for, mixing the green and making it a little bit lighter to dab on that paint on top of it. Now, when I first did this, the paint looked like a lime green. So then I'm going to mix in a little bit of black to darken it a little bit. There's just a few little tweaks that I need to add, but at this point it was late at night and I didn't feel like doing any more, so I did end up adding some things later the next day that I will add in a clip of it just to show you any other detail that I added in. But I hope you guys enjoyed. Tell me which house is your favorite. Do you like Hector's house or do you like the witch's house? I think my mom's house, the favorite is the witch's house. Mine is definitely Hector's house. I don't know, there's just something about adding that the hay bale and you know the vines and stuff like that. I don't know, it's just that detail right there that just something about it. So yeah, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you guys in my next DIY, which is probably going to be my final DIY for Halloween. This is the next day, and as you can see, starting with Hector's house, I added a little bit more vine. I just thought it needed some more. I also added a little bat in the window, and you can see the vines are also coming out of some of the windows as well. It just needed more vines. Then for the witch's house, the only thing I did was added the paint, the white paint, to the spider's legs.